on Perspectives of the Savitri Upakhyana by R.Y. Deshpande. Sri Aurobindo has revealed the importance of the Savitri myth by saying that it belongs to the Vedic cycle. It is not just a great tribute, but is an assertion to the divine word expressing itself in a new manifestive glory here. The fact that its structural outline can hold the profundity and the wideness, the twofold infinity of his spirituality, is itself a recognition of the substantiality of its splendor. We must understand that, although it is a symbol, people moving in it are not algebraic substitutions of abstract characters, cartoon pictures jerkily portraying a cinematographic sequence, but they are dynamic personalities in flesh and blood, shaping and fulfilling the drama of life. They are incarnations or emanations of living and conscious forces with whom we can enter into concrete touch, and they take human bodies in order to help man. The legend has therefore a certain historical basis as well, though maybe not at one single point of space and time, but spread over events in larger dimensions, yet all of them together unfold the secret destiny. This is the Savitri we must accept and present, and not the goody-goody stuff that is often given to us by pious sentiment. It appears that the title of the poem as Pativrata Mahatmya was provided by the compilers, authors of the Mahabharata, when they neatly incorporated it as a tale in the huge and cumbersome body of the epic. It should actually be called Savitri Mahatmya to bring out the glory of the Vedic cycle it creates in a new milieu, to recreate the milieu itself in its spirit. The word of the rishis has that power, and its object is to set out the universal truth in the working of a man and his soul, to achieve through its mantric utterance a concreteness of reality triumphing over all that opposes it in the worldly affairs, that it be the vehicle of the highest dharma, of the inner movement finding its way in cosmic modalities. Savitri Mahatmya can therefore be appropriately proclaimed as a tale of a decisive divine action in this evolutionary unfoldment. If it is to be considered as a book, then it would qualify to be the precious lifeblood of a master spirit. When the poet becomes a seer and hearer of the truth word, Kavya Satyasrutha, then through his creation we experience aesthetic delight of the spirit. We receive supreme revelation in a flame body of the symbol he gives to us, a symbol that is more than an image. A good painter has two chief objects to paint, man and the intention of his soul, says Leonardo da Vinci. A good poet adds to it the expressive power of the ineffable transcendent, coming in rhythms of its calm and silent delight. Such indeed is the Savitri given to us by the Rishi. Now in English literature is to be seen such restrained dignity and such poetic completeness as we have in this little episode. The theme is universal. The poetry is epic. The style is impersonal and bare. The diction is simple and direct. Hardly anywhere an uncommon simile or epithet. No rancor against fate. No mad elation in the victory. The self-confidence of the heroine giving a solidity to the narrative. Brief phrases packed with contents that at once summarize the achievements of a whole life. Everywhere and through the subtle nerves flow quiet streams that sing of nobility and grandeur, of imperishable values. Death triumphant in their assertion looks as though a well-faceted diamond were stuffed with a rare splendor, sometimes blue shimmering, sometimes creamy bright with an orange tinge, shining in its natural brilliance, as does the sun spreading its gold of radiance. No fetish of poetry offering criticism of life, no abstraction of l'art pour l'art, no celebration through a discovered objective, correlative, nor any gushing of uncontrolled spontaneous feelings. Its substance is spirit, and its ethereality is material. The ends and the means fuse in one gleamingly suggestive manner. It has gains which need not be set against losses. Death and life move in one fulfillment. Death indeed occupies a very large space in life, perhaps a disproportionately large space at the moment. That could be the entire meaning of things in this purposeful mortal creation, not a fixed, settled, unevolving glory or a spectrum of typal existence, but a quest to newer infinities that may come here and work themselves out in the unending times process. Death is truly an aspect of life, for it to become deathless life. That would remind us of Francis Thompson's line from his Ode to the Setting Sun. The fairest things in life are death and birth, and of these two, the fairer thing is death. But this is not crucified Christ as a setting sun giving his beauty to death. It is another Satyavan arising out of death and luminous in the everlasting day that we see emerging from the legend. It answers more than Nachiketa's query to Yama. A man who has passed, does he exist or does he not? If he exists, then Yama is not at all that powerful. If he does not, then how is he there with him? This perplexing situation becomes clear only when we assert that he does exist but is bound by Yama, is under the sway of the law of the mortal world. Death cannot dissolve him, but can only cover him with a thick veil of darkness. As long as this death is there, thraldom is inescapable. Immortality of the soul is always incontingent, but its freedom or bondage in life or after departure of the life breath depends upon the yoga yajna performed on earth. In the Aurobindonian interpretation of the Savitri myth, even enlarging the original Vedic vision, this incontingency of soul's immortality has been fully claimed in life itself, thus making death dispensable. In fact, as a starting prerequisite for the superconscious delight existence here. That would make the operative phase about the day when Satyavan has to die preciously significant. To match with this mythic symbol substance is also its language, and the language of poetry has the supreme power to make that substance itself a living flame, to set akindle in its splendor a rapturous heart. It bears with equal nobility the full sense of the aesthesis of the spirit, not just the power of thought and artistic imagination, but the power of a happy, joyous expression, of saying what is at once seen and heard, the subtle truth side and truth addition carrying together their power of giving to matter a bright, lustrous manner, to substance a lucid and apt style, harmoniously calling and echoing each other. All that has come into dynamic play. In Vyasa's narrative, we do not mark any climax or anticlimax, but there is a steady, almost unconcerned flow from the source to its sea of calm emerald accomplishment. Where does this source of inspiration lie? This hippocrene of the mystic? In the overhead and not in the underheart, not in the secret region behind the throbbing center of emotions, not in the psychic, but somewhere on the northern slopes of Mount Helicon, somewhere in the luminous hierarchies above the mind. The word he receives that itself possesses in its fulgent intensity the tapasvin's authority, snow white and sublime in its grandeur. His sublime Snow White appears in thought, in phrase, in figure, in image, an idiom that is direct and extraordinarily bare in its description. Truth, beauty, power are the elements of the classical art whose one supreme creator he was. Universal theme, tightness of presentation, translongenian loftiness, filled with the light of the sun, make the myth a perfect expressive vehicle for the charge of the spirit. His was not a dim religious light in a Gothic cathedral, but a solar orb of golden mass spreading its radiance in the wideness of heaven. Alexander Pope's "There is majesty and harmony in the Greek language which greatly contribute to elevate and support the narration" is even more true for the ancient writers of India who use Sanskrit as the language of gods, Dev Bhasha. While this Dev Bhasha lent itself to the hymns and chants, to deep esoteric utterances, it also gave us revealing myths such as the victory of the Angirasas or in Indra's companionship with Kutsa or the boons of Yama to Nachiketa or the cosmic transcendent strides of Vishnu. The very tongue is epic, and to that epic majesty, the power of mantra of the seer poet, and we have Vyasa's Savitri. All the attributes of the epic described in a textbook are present in this poetry: noble, heroic, pathetic, remorseful, tragic, lofty, and benign, carried out in the greatness and sweep of a mind open to wider movements of speech and thought, bearing the rhythm of a dynamic life lived in the spirit, all in an astonishing perfection of the form. Savitri is a masterpiece in miniature. The story unfolds with the relentless force of a narrative, bare, simple, direct, without embellishments, to the point everywhere, with casual mention of several qualities of the person it is presenting, be it Savitri or Satyavan or Yama or the king or the rishis of the forest. Whatever is needed is given with minimum detail. The scenes stand out vividly in front of us. The swiftness of flow is of the nature of a streamline, without whirlpools or turbulent patterns. The story begins by introducing Ashwapati just in a couple of shlokas and proceeds rapidly from event to event. The manner of introducing Ashwapati makes it subtly clear that there is some issue involved about which we should be deeply concerned. From the very word go, the tone is set. Long ago in Madura, there reigned a saintly king, devout and a follower of the Dharma. He lived in the pious company of the Brahmins and of the great virtuous, and he was united with the truth and had conquered the senses. Performer of yajanas, presiding over charities, skillful in work, loved by the city dwellers and by all the people of his kingdom. One who was absorbed in the welfare of everybody, there ruled the sovereign of the earth, named Ashwapati. Of a forgiving nature, one whose speech was truth, and who had subdued the senses. Though he was so, he had no issue with the advancing of age. This increased his affliction greatly. With this confident ease, the verses unroll and in their calm, composed poise carry the poetry forward. The atmosphere is certainly not joyous, lyrical, but there is neither in it melancholy of the tragic, though dealing with the theme of death in the blaze and youth of life. Its quiet gloom is filled with the warm shadow of the gods of heaven. There is everywhere the sense of sunlight diffusing in the darkness. The tears in mortal things gleam in the purity of a mountain source and become pearl drops that quiver with the life of the spirit. In the whole process, the poet has accomplished an alchemic miracle. That is the power of the mystic spiritual poetry, and Vyasa possesses it full abundance. This is why the work endures across the space of time and does not get attenuated by exoteric considerations. When this power is absent, this power that comes from some deep and genuine fountainhead also fails with it the creation. Howsoever appealing it may look to a given temporal taste, the same substance then becomes pale and insipid, or turns into old wives' tale. This would immediately put in question Walter Patter's contention. This would immediately put in question Walter Patter's contention, though deserving a certain merit. It is on the quality of the matter it informs or controls, its compass, its variety, its alliance to great ends, or the depth of the note of revolt, or the largeness of hope in it, that the greatness of literary art depends. But the poetry is written à la Mallarmé, not with ideas, but with words. Substance, all right, but more than that, the creative word. The same matter, the same sublime myth, when retold by different authors, always does not go home.